Hey, how's it going? Welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be pulling out my very first fish tank I ever put together, which is a Midwest Tropical 680 stretch. We're going to pull that out and put a 35-gallon tank right in its place. So when you're looking at the top of the stairs, all you see is a big, beautiful tank instead of some coffee table tank. So if you didn't know, the Midwest Tropical 680 stretch is actually supposed to be a coffee table made to be on the ground. So in my personal opinion, I don't think really fish should go in it. I think that should be more of a planted tank or maybe crabs. I guess the hard part is the amount of moisture buildup on the top. It makes it hard to see into it. And it's hard to find a filter that will really give you that maximum amount of water in that tank, because it generally leaves it about a couple inches down from the very top. Now I'm swapping this tank out with another tank that I got off of Facebook. Now here's a sore subject for some people whenever it comes to Facebook Marketplace tanks. All these tanks you see behind me, they're all Facebook tanks, believe it or not. They're all working perfectly, they're all working seamlessly. I haven't had a single tank that had a bad caulk line, but it is possible. So whenever you do get fish tanks off of line that are not brand new, it's always best to go outside, do a water test, make sure there's no leaks or whatever. Go outside and do a leak test. Make sure there's no water leaking from any seeps in the corners or even the bottom, because once you got 30-40 gallons in a tank, there is no saving it at that point. Alright, so starting off, we're going to be moving this top off. They give you a glass piece, but I just ended up resorting and going to Home Depot and cutting me a piece of plexiglass, so it makes it a little easier for maintenance. Now, I've had this tank established for about 2 months, and I just couldn't stand the way it looks, so I had to switch it up to what I would call a normal tank size. Like I said, this is really meant to be a coffee table, so one day I'll put natural plants in it and we'll be growing. Sorry about the mess, we're kind of moving in and out and moving on. I like to use gravel as a space filler instead of sand. I am going to be putting sand in here, but using the gravel, it kind of gives you a couple more inches in the bottom so that you don't have to waste so much money on sand just to give the aspect that you want. For here, I'm going for an open sea concept so that I can be able to visualize and see all these hills all the way around. I am planning on planting this tank full of live plants, so having this gravel gives the roots something to grab onto. Now for the sand, what I ended up doing was buying a 10-pound bag of black sand and then a 5-pound bag of the Neon Glow sand that has the little bits of neon pieces of rock in it, so it reflects a really cool way off of the blue light. I started off by using a cup, then resorted to my hands, then resorted to just pouring the whole bucket in there and then fixing it all afterwards. It was really making a mess. Put a gallon of water in this, and it still soaked it up like crazy. Had to add some more. Now I like to have about an inch or so water above the sand, so it gives me some playing room. So I can use that water and move that sand around however I want. Now this whole setup kind of derives around this rock piece, and I've loved it ever since I got it, and it's been Frank, that one pleco that I have. This has been his home since he was born. I am going to be putting plants in this tank, but for now I just want some plastic and rubber decor to give a little shade and give a little movement in the tank. Not very natural, but it gets the job done. Now for this tank, I ended up having to use a 30-gallon hanging filter just so I could get the water going so these guys could get into their new tank. By the end of this video, I had ordered a Tetra Whisper 40. That replaced it, and that has the water level all the way at the top. This filter has the water level 2 inches or so from the top, which I'm not a big fan of. Ended up causing a whole lot of lime. Moving on, let's remove this paper towel. Now, since I have this paper towel out of here, I am not going to want to put the stream anywhere near the ground because I'll disturb the sand. So what I will do is take the hose and put it on the rock so that it disperses the water so it's not disrupting the sand on the bottom. Planting some Amazon swords and different assortment of plants that I had from the other tank. Now let's bring the fish in. So in this tank I have a whole lot of different breeds of fish, which a lot of shops tell me not to do, but I seem that they tend to work out very well all together. In this tank I have 3 sarpays, 4 neons, 3 bloodfins, a lemon drop, a black neon, a ghost cat, a pleco, and a couple of danios. So I have a different type of fish all across the board. I got bottom feeders to mid-range level to upper decker levels, and everyone seems to get well just fine. I've had these guys, this tank with all this fish for probably about a month and a half now, and everyone seems to be happy. So with this water, not all of this is just dechlorinated. I ended up taking about 20 or so of those gallons out of that other tank and putting it in this one. So it's got plenty of bacteria to make sure these guys are all happy and healthy. Especially with those neons in that tank, you do not want to have water without any bacteria. Those guys are very, very, very sensitive. Tank looks good, all running. Now let's hook up this air line. What I ended up doing was finding a suction cup that I had gotten with another Facebook tank, and I just ended up suctioning this guy down at the bottom corner because I don't want these fish to get all tangled up in it. I'm sure they can't, but try to make a hazard, try to prevent a hazard. Look at that aspect. I'm a big fan of having the airstrip in the back like that. It really makes everything pop like crazy. Now, like I said earlier, I was planning on changing out this filter, so here we're taking out this 30-gallon internal filter, and we're going to swap it out for a Tetra Whisper 40. Oh man, I did a poor job editing this. Houston, we have a problem. And I never thought I could ever move a tank out, but I guess I brought my muscles today. Very dangerous. Do not recommend on moving a full-size tank with water. I always like to dip my filters in dechlorinated water or even water with good bacteria in it. Some people say to just hit it in the sink, but I find that running tap water just is too big of a risk here. get this bad boy primed up and get some water flowing. Now since this is right around 10%, maybe a little more than 10%, I figured just using dechlorinated water would work out. And this was one of those rare times where I had just enough water in the bucket just to make it to the top.
How do we get it right? Look at that. Perfect. There's no more water left in the bucket.
Now I know every filter has this option for you to slow the current down or make the current even stronger, but I found on this it was very convenient. And after looking at this one, I went back to all my other filters and went, huh, who would have thought? Thank you for watching today's video, and as always, make sure you keep those parameters in check. Go out there and build you a tank. Please, if you could, comment, like, and subscribe.